What happens to all the plastic bottles, hot dog wrappers, and uneaten soft pretzels after a football game? At Ohio Stadium, it all gets recycled.
Ohio Stadium seats nearly 106,000 fans. You figure nearly everyone's going to have one thing to eat and one thing to drink during a 3-hour football game. That equates to a lot of hot dog wrappers, bottles of water, and nacho trays. In fact, all the waste from the stadium on one Saturday afternoon amounts to nearly 30,000 pounds, or 15 tons.
Ohio State is really trying to be a leader to demonstrate that, regardless of how many people you have or how complicated of a program or a challenge you have, that you can succeed and that zero waste is not a lofty goal or impossible, that you can actually achieve it. Zero waste is defined as diverting 90% of materials from the landfill. So for our program here at Ohio Stadium, that means that from the game day materials, we want to divert at least 90% of those materials from the landfill.
We work very hard on our zero waste program. You have a lot of customers and people from throughout the state that are seeing that, hey, it's hard to do, but Ohio State's doing it with 106,000 people. So we're really breaking down a barrier as far as a cultural aspect of how people think about recycling, and the overall theme that we're trying to promote is being a good partner to the environment and being a good partner to the Sustainability Office.
We're able to achieve zero waste by several things. First of all, we took a look at our products and made sure that they were recyclable or compostable. And then we made sure that those products got into the appropriate bins, whether it be a recycling bin or a compost bin. And once we're able to separate those materials, we're able to get them off to the appropriate facility to make sure that they're all recovered. And there is some trash, but we're doing our best to minimize that as much as possible. We're engaging our fans and asking them to separate their materials into recycling, compost. Anything that is food or fiber will go into the compost bin, and anything else, whatever it is, goes into recycling. Pretty much everything else that a fan can get their hands on is recyclable, from a plastic bottle to a souvenir cup if they choose to recycle that. We've hired high school kids to help educate the fans. So the high school students stand at each of our zero waste stations and educate the fans about what to do. And if the fan sneaks past the goalie, so to speak, they'll fix any errors. And then also we do a very sophisticated sort on the recycling end, and we do go through the compost to ensure that there's no contamination in there with student volunteers from a club on campus. So cleanup is a pretty complicated process. We have ROTC has done a great job in helping us segregate our materials as well. They pick up the recycling and compost throughout the bowl. So they'll walk through and pick everything up, and then those materials are all taken out and thrown into either a compost truck or a recycling truck. And then other folks that are on the operations team, they'll pick up the barrels throughout the stadium from the zero waste stations. And after the games, there's cleanup that happens right after the game and the day after.
The recycling truck will head off to the Southeastern Ohio Correctional Institute, where inmates meticulously sort the materials. The compost truck will take the load of food and fiber waste to Price Farms, where it is again sorted and prepared for composting.
Composting process is a carbon-nitrogen ratio, and I don't want to get too technical, but carbon-nitrogen lets the bugs or the bacteria work and break down the food that we're bringing in from the stadium. So between the paper and the hot dogs and wrappers and so on and so forth, these bacteria will break that down over a period of time. It takes about a year to make this product to where you can use it in your flower beds and gardens, and it's a lot easier to just put it in a landfill and forget about it. But the university, from President Gee right on, they've taken the initiative to say we're going to make this university a greener university and attempt to do it in one of the biggest stadiums in the country. And that's no small operation. And we've been looked upon as kind of the leaders in attempting to recycle food and fiber out of the stadium environment.
The trucks come in, they go across the scale, we record the weight, we bring the material back, we dump it, we go through it, and we weigh the truck empty. So that gives us our total gross that we're dealing with, and then any of the trash is subtracted from that total. What we're doing now is we're removing any contamination that's in the compost. So we're really looking for a needle in the haystack a lot of the time. Just looking for those little buttercups, relish packets, things like that.
Corey was looking for someone or a facility that could have, that was a Class 2 facility in EPA's eyes, so it was regulated and it was safe to bring product in, and it had enough capacity that one truckload wouldn't fill them up. Backyard compost piles don't have enough density or enough volume to hold the heat in. The heat generated is what makes meat break down and it sterilizes it. Whereas a backyard composter, they might get 100 to 110 degrees, but that's about it. Our temperature, as far as EPA is concerned, we must meet 122 degrees for about 3 weeks. This is running 150 for almost months on end.
Tom will add horse manure, coffee grounds, or yard trimmings to the compost pile. These make up the carbon parts that produce the bacteria that will eat the waste byproducts. The pile gets turned about 5 times and will get blacker in color as the year goes by. In 1 year's time, the compost will be full of rich nutrients, and some of it will make its way back to OSU to be placed in the flower planters around Ohio Stadium.
When the season starts, it's really warm. You know, it was 95 degrees at the beginning of the season. People drink a lot of fluid, they drink a lot of water. We sell a lot of plastic bottles. As the season moves on, it gets colder, people drink more coffee and hot chocolate. So we actually see our recycling go down and our compost numbers go up because we're composting our coffee cups. So it's kind of interesting to see game to game how it plays out. One of the things that makes me most proud about this program is when I see all the compost behind me and here at the farm, just to think that all that used to go in the landfill. It's just really exciting to see that, you know, when you look at the dirt around here and the compost around here, that is going, you know, pizza boxes and food from one of the greatest stadiums in the country is going to become soil. This is awesome. And it's really exciting to see that it's not going into the landfill. We're preserving the life of the landfill and reducing our impact on our community, actually making a positive impact on it instead. So it's just a really great thing to see.
In 2011, Ohio Stadium became the largest stadium in the country to attempt zero waste. Each game was an opportunity to learn and improve the process. During the taping of this segment, Ohio Stadium reached zero waste for the first time with a 94.4% diversion rate. In other words, out of the 15 tons of trash generated on game day, less than 1 ton went to a landfill. All the rest was recycled or composted. Ohio State won that October day against Purdue. But more importantly, it was a huge victory for planet Earth.